talk or when I read some sentences or some essays, I know the word. There is no problem. I understand exactly. But when I try to write or speak, I couldn't remember specific word. I'm so bored about that. How can I pass this situation?
Nice question. Yes, this is a quality question. Actually, the journey of language is very complicated and kind of not mysterious, but very complicated. If there's a kind of strategy that works for me, it doesn't mean that that strategy should work for you. Can work, maybe, or maybe not. But the point here is, I mean, after a lot of years of teaching, how can I say, first studying and later teaching, and still dealing with English as a kind of live language, I realized that the key factor to be fluent, to overcome all of those problems, is repetition. You know, exposure and repetition. This is what you have to do for any kind of reason. This is in nutshell. I mean, very, if you want me to make it very simple, very short, very quick, repetition, sorry, exposure and repetition. Understand what I say? Or another thing that I can even add, simply, first you have to learn, study, and practice. Learn, study, practice. Learn, study, practice. This is, it should be a kind of system for you. Imagine I wanna learn, for example, present simple tense, whatever it is. Okay, first I have to learn. I have to study it, and of course then learn it. After learning, I need to practice that. And practicing doesn't mean that you must basically speak. Listening, reading, writing, and of course speaking, all of these techniques, skills are important. Okay, you must practice those information, those material, lessons, whatever, through these skills, not only speaking. And if you say, whenever you are talking, I can understand you, okay, but whenever I want to speak, I don't remember the words, it means that you haven't exposed. Do you know exposure? You haven't exposed to those words enough. Expose means you have to see. Okay, see it, hear it. Okay, I don't know, directly or indirectly. Imagine that, for example, I say 2 years ago you read a book and you learned a word. For example, 2 years ago you read a book and you learned a word. I mean, after 2 years, I mean, not after, let's say throughout these years, you haven't used that word, specific word, okay? After 2 years, all of a sudden, you hear that word from somebody, from a teacher, from a friend, on television, on internet, somewhere. That is exposure. You're exposed to that word again, again, and finally you can automatically use that word in your speaking. A perfect speaking is not possible. There is no perfect speaking, by the way. Okay, perfect speaking is not real. Can be, but it is not real. Perfect speaking looks like perfect acting. Okay, do you understand what I say? Or it is much more complicated. Perfect acting, like imagine you are an actor or actress, for example, and you have a scenario, okay, script. You practice that a lot. You're totally into that scenario, into that role, okay, a lot. Maybe you have practiced that scenario, let's say, for example, for 5 months, every day, all the time. Yes, in that scenario, you can be a good actor, a perfect actor of that role, because you practice that role, that scenario a lot. You have been exposed to that scenario more than a lot. Yeah, in that case, you can be a perfect. Speaking is the same. Okay, if you are looking for a perfect speaking, you must practice that part of lecture a lot. Imagine you watch, for example, Oscar awards. Hollywood actors, actresses, they are native speakers, they are professional actors and actresses. Their mother language is English generally, and they are actors. But there are some speeches, and they speak beautifully. You say, wow, yeah, of course, wow. But they practice that speaking. Okay, they're well prepared for those speaking, for those lectures. That is a perfect speaking, yes. But spontaneous speaking cannot be perfect. Spontaneous means real, all of a sudden you're talking to somebody, and then the person asks you a question that you haven't thought about it. Completely a surprising question. In that case, there is a high chance of making mistakes, which is totally okay. Totally okay. If somebody asks you a very difficult question in Turkish for you, you might make some mistakes because you have to think about it. You might have a lot of because that question is a kind of surprise, even if your language is Turkish, even if you are a native speaker. But knowing the language sometimes doesn't help. Only knowing the language maybe doesn't help. You have to know about that subject. You have to have some information, some knowledge about that specific subject. Yes. Again, through preparation, you can do it. So far, so good.
Yeah.
One more thing, let me finish. One more thing about what you said, that you suffer this because you haven't exposed enough.
Yes,
you haven't exposed to that word or words enough. If you go out on the street, randomly, okay, select some people, obviously educated people, okay, at least high school or let's say university people, randomly. Ask this simple question. Say, hello, how are you? Simple. Hi, how are you? The answer is, I am fine, and you? Correct? Why? They don't think about it because they exposed enough. They exposed to that expression enough for years. From middle school, maybe, I don't know. I think middle school, high school, university, every teacher comes here, comes in the class and says, hello, how are you? I am fine, and you? I am fine, and you? Every day, I am fine, and you? So you're exposed and you never forget it. If you want to speak very well, if you want to use those beautiful words, expressions, you must be exposed to those words enough.
I see.
Yeah. Any other question? Yeah, you can ask your questions. Any type of question, because apart from a teacher, I am a language user too. Okay, yeah, my job, for example, my career is a teacher. I teach, correct, but as a person, I use English. I am an English user also. So your questions can also help me to think, to see, oh my God, yes, if I look at this subject from this angle, what will happen? So your questions can be really great for me also, if you have any.
In fact, that I said usually, I couldn't write essay in Turkish. How can I write essay in English?
Correct.
It is also difficult to me because I have a maths brain. How can I say? I don't know, but
Okay.
I have math brain, and I'm really bad at for writing something.
Writing. Terrible at writing. Again, the same scenario. The same scenario. Imagine somebody says, Meysam, yes, play the piano. What? Play the piano? I can't. Why? Because I haven't touched a piano in my whole life. How do you expect me to play the piano? Right? Or the other scenario, imagine I am a piano teacher, for example. I am a musician. I have played piano for 30 years. Okay, play, all right, no problem. I can play it because I touched the piano keys enough. The same scenario. If you haven't written anything, it is going to be very difficult. But if you keep writing from very basic first until up to the professional essays, step by step, you can improve. I never forget, I had a student, face-to-face, student. She was a teenager, long time before Corona. She came to me and said, teacher, I want to be a public speaker. I said, what? You want to be a public speaker? Yes. And I said, you can, but you have to listen to me. Oh, yes, teacher, I will definitely listen to you. Then I said, next time, make a presentation. Okay, teacher, I will do that. All right. I was surprised. Next week, she came and she did she presented a presentation. And I was in shock. Generally, students do not do that. But she was very passionate, okay? Then I said, are you okay with the fact that I correct your mistakes? Yes, you can please correct my mistakes. I want to be perfect. Then I said, okay, do this, don't do that. This is enough. This is bad. This is good. I gave my feedback. Then I said, next time you need to make another presentation. Okay, teacher, I will do that. We keep doing this for a couple of months. This is a real story. This is not a joke. This is real, okay? We did this for a couple of months. At the end of the day, later, she was really perfect. She was a great presenter those days. Because she got used to the fact, she engaged with the fact, she was exposed with the atmosphere, with the whole psychology, and step by step she could reach that level. Yeah. The same for you. You must start writing.
Yes. Right.
Somebody said, when is the best time to plant a tree? Because my friend planted a tree. This is a kind of, expression. My friend planted a tree 25 years ago, but I wish I could do that. But I don't know when is the best time. Is the best time of planting a tree like goes back to 25 years ago? Of course not, because you have lost that. The best time to plant a tree is now, today. Because 25 years ago finished. Forget. From today on, you have to focus. So I want to say that if you haven't written any essay so far, I don't know for how many years, it started today, now. Like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Maybe Mrs. Fatma has got some other questions related to English or any kind of problem or problems that you face with learning or challenging. What challenges you, let's say, in learning, or how can I say, dealing with English?
Same, I think for me, speaking also challenge for me because in a day I write some emails in English, so I practice, but only my work, words with my work words.
Yeah.
But speaking is a bit challenge for me. Also, I don't remember the words I know, but when I spoke, when I speak, I don't remember.
You don't remember. Yeah, the same scenario. I mean, the scenarios that students are creating are actually almost the same things. But one more thing that I can tell, you know, cliche question, cliche answer, repetition, exposure, repetition, and repetition, and repetition, and repetition. This is the basic thing that I can tell. And I mean, another thing that I can tell is you need to have a system. Whatever you are doing, whatever we are doing, actually, me too, I am included as well as a person, not just as a teacher. Whatever we are doing in life, there must be a system. System means plan. System means organization. System means time management. System means goal. Okay? If there is no system, it is going to be failure. So here, the system is very simple. The system is this. Why are you learning English? I asked this question many weeks ago. What is the reason that a person starts learning something? It can be English, it can be swimming, it can be cooking, it can be music, etc., etc. You need to know why you are learning English. If you know, if you have the answer, I can definitely help you. Generally, students say, I want to learn English because of my work, because I want to improve in my career, because I want to promote in my career. Okay, but the question for that answer is, how can English help you in your promotion? How can you use English to promote yourself? You must find the answer for that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe at the end of the day, you might take an examination. For example, you might take an examination and you have to be successful in that examination. Maybe. Maybe there will be a kind of interview, face-to-face speaking. Your boss, or not maybe your boss, a person from the company speaks with you. He or she wants you to be able to speak perfectly or in a kind of acceptable degree. I don't know, how can English help you? Some people say, I want to be a tourist. Okay. Some people say, I want to continue my studies, higher education, let's say master's degree, PhD, I don't know, in different country. I want to live in an English speaking country. So different reasons, understand? For different situation, I have different answer. In order to answer your question, you have to answer me. Why are you learning English, and how can English help you? Can you please answer so that I can give my feedbacks?
Okay. For my gelişim.
Improvement.
Improvement, yes.
Improvement.
For my improvement in the work.
Career. At your
Career, yes.
Okay.
Also career, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but how? I mean, what type of improvement? I mean, the answers that I receive are very general. Be specific. Can you go deeper and be specific? I want to understand. How can English help you? Really? Go ahead.
Also in our work, now a lot of little squad teams, and the teams are connected the other countries, quality engineer or another department, and the language is English. They also tell the any problem or any solve. But in these meetings, I want to understand these problem solves, whatever, anything, and I reply these problems answer, because I have a big information for the quality in Turkey plants, but I don't send them or I don't send them any information. I don't understand because them also.
I understand your problem now. Okay, now I can help you because you are now very specific. If you are general, my answers are general. If you're specific, I'll try to be specific. Okay, I totally understood. You know, there is no shortcut in learning. Number one. If there's a shortcut, which means that if you reach something very easily and quickly, believe me, you will lose that thing very quickly. Okay, this is a how can I say, kind of fact. But in order to help you faster, you know, of course I am not a big fan of fast thing, okay, but if I want to help you, if you wanna reach your goal a little bit faster, take my suggestion. My suggestion is this: because you are dealing with, let's say, foreigners, I don't know which countries, generally you speak English, okay? Because you are contacting, you are talking, communicating with those people in English, you must, guys, I have a lot of agendas, a lot, I don't know, I mean, every agenda is different. Only I can understand, you cannot understand them. You must have agendas, and one of the agenda should be related to work. Inside the agenda, you will write the terminologies, terms or terminologies which are related to your job. How? Google. How? Turing. Sit down for a couple of hours. Think in Turkish. I don't recommend, but because you say I want to reach my goal very fast, sit down, think in Turkish, write down those verbs or words in Turkish. For example, how can I say? I don't know. I mean, just make a list of the words which you are going to use or you might use during the meeting or inside the email or inside the meeting, I don't know, in Turkish. Then try to find the English equivalent of them from Turing. Write them down. Create a list of terminologies. Related to your job. If you are an engineer, create a list of, for example, engineering stuff. If you are, I don't know, designer, designing something. Whatever you are dealing with, you must have a list. And every day or anytime that you hear something new which is related to your job, add that word or terminology to the list also. Because the list is not the only list. It can be expanded, right? So whenever you hear, you read, or you use those words, definitely add them into your list in your agenda. Number two, very similar. For example, you say I try to email these business things to other people in English. No problem. There are a lot of samples, sample emails, sample letters on Google. Just type, for example, I say type sample business email, enter. On Google you can find a lot of resources. Save them, I don't know, print them, read them, and say, oh, I like this, for example, expression, I will use that. Write them down. Read, oh, I like that. All of the letters, for example, all of the letters have got a specific terminology, a specific expression. For example, at the end of the letter you say, sincerely, for example, Teacher Meysam, or with the best wishes, for example, Teacher Meysam. So you can understand that, all right, at the end of the letters, professionally, formally, officially, people are writing or using these vocabulary. Copy them, put them in your, and if you keep doing this, you will automatically start writing. Automatically. Understand? So first thing first, I repeat myself because I believe in repetition. Whatever you're doing, find words, terminologies, expressions, idioms, whatever, related to your work, related to your sector, to your job in English. Make a list. And every day, maybe not every day, every week, go back to your agenda, study them, review. Okay, just review. If you review them a lot, I don't want to guarantee, but I believe you will start using those words automatically, because you keep seeing, hearing, reading those words almost all the time. Number 3, the final number, is you can use YouTube. You know, on YouTube there are a lot of great sources. Imagine if I want to be a public speaker, for example. I'm not a teacher, I am a random person, normal person. I want to be a public speaker. On YouTube, I must watch professional public speakers. Take some ideas, get some ideas from them, and see what all of these public speakers have in common. What all of these people are doing the same things all the time. Is that, for example, I say body language? Is that eye contact? What is it? Is that the form of presentation? What do they use? Are they, for example, are they using water? Are they, are they drinking water or something? How do they wear? So you are getting ideas. You are getting ideas by watching, listening to those information, and later you need to apply those things that you have learned. Practice, and step by step you will become much more better than yesterday, obviously. I hope you got your answer. All right.
Good.
Yeah, definitely.
I will try.
Definitely try that. Yeah, definitely try that. You must know the terminologies which are related to your job, because you keep using those words directly or indirectly. Directly means you are using them directly. Indirectly means somebody else is saying the word. Okay, you understand, you remember the word. This is indirect. Yeah. What about Mr. Enis? Any other question?
No.
Really?
And that's almost same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Yeah, because as you said that I didn't work hard about words. So I can't expose them more.
Yeah, you must be exposed to those words that you think you are going to use them a lot. That is the only thing that I can tell. But previously I talked about the system. The system is this. Very simple, I forgot. The system is you must create a kind of, how can I say, some category. Let's say, for example, you are going to use English as a tourist. For example, I say, I'm a tourist and I will use English. So, what type of expressions, what type of words, terminologies I am going to use as a tourist? Write them down. Okay? Write them down. It can be, for example, airport, hotel, restaurant, transportation, I don't know, shopping. What else? Buying tickets. I don't know. These kind of terminologies. Limit it. The tourist doesn't want to go there and feel the pressure. The tourist goes to the country in order to enjoy, to relax, to chillax, actually, right? So not a huge amount of vocabulary the tourist needs. Limited vocabulary can be enough for the tourist. So this is the system. But you say, no, I want to really improve my English, not just because of the job, not just because of being a tourist, but I want to improve. That is very general. In that case, you must know at least a little bit about different topics, a little bit about technology. You must study philosophy, literature, politics, economy, sports, health, everything. Because you said, I want to improve myself, I want to be a perfect person. In that case, you have to know about different subject matters. And the book that actually I am covering has got really up-to-date topics from random topics that you might use. Of course, this is general English, and which is a kind of system. That's a systematic thing, systematic book that you can see. You must have something like that, and you need to always listen. Whatever you do, if you don't have time to read, if you don't have time to watch, even if you don't have time to speak, create time for yourself every day to listen. Listen to anything. Listen to music, English. Listen to, I would say, news is the best source. News sources are great. Or listen to podcasts. Maybe podcasts can be difficult. Try to listen to news. For news, if you are following British accent, British English, go for BBC. If you are following, or if you do like American accent, American English, go for CNN or VOA. My favorite is VOA, Voice of America. Okay, these are great resources. Or Fox News, I forgot, Fox News, Fox News. Fox News is very understandable, very clear, super clear, but of course there are some terminologies because of the different types of news. They talk about everything. The news can be about corona, it can be about earthquake, it can be about anything. So you're expanding your vocabulary by listening to them. Like
lately, lately I watch the movies or this series in English and English subtitles, but when I stop the subtitles, it's difficult to understand for me.
Correct.
I can't pass that situation yet, but I try to pass the line. No, I can't.
You mean you are using English to English subtitle or Turkish subtitle?
No, English and English subtitle.
Fantastic. That is totally normal. Why? Number one, because the movies that you are watching, inside the movies can be different accents. They are not only always Americans, or maybe there are some foreigners. For example, the actor is Spanish and he or she has a kind of strong Spanish accent. So he or she speaks English with a kind of Spanish accent. For example, I say, or Italian accent, French accent, German accent, whatever. So it can make it difficult, or can be even native speakers, but with different type of accent possible. Yeah.
Yes.
With the different type of accent, as I said, it can be so, because you're listening to different or variety of accents, there's a high possibility of not understanding them easily. because maybe they speak informally, maybe they speak very fast, or maybe because of the, I don't know, some music in the background or some other visual effect, music, visual sound, whatever. Maybe you cannot understand them, which is totally okay. Plus, most probably, because of the lack of the vocabulary. If you don't have enough vocabulary, so the chances are very low to understand the whole medium completely. Get it?
Yes.
In that scenario, you must improve your vocabulary. Again, agenda. Have a kind of
Yes.
agenda and categorize the movies. For example, let's say, for example, Western movies, action movies, horror films, I don't know, you name it, history, comedy. Every different category has got different terminology. Understand? So create a kind of list, practice, and write them down. I mean, whenever you see a kind of word, try to write it down, but do not write the word only. Try to learn the word inside the sentence or inside the paragraph, inside the context, let's say. Keep writing and keep studying, and just improve day by day. I mean, generally, students' main problem is vocabulary, lack of vocabulary.
Yes.
That is the main reason.
Because we didn't work on vocabularies yet.
Exactly. And because English is a kind of global language, what happens? The understanding level of English sometimes, I mean, goes down, I mean, decreases. That's why you must improve your vocabulary as much as you can. This is really important.
I can give an example about that.
Yeah.
In university, I said before, our education language was English, and we never spoke.
Mm-hmm.
We only read or listen.
Mm-hmm.
Just that. After that, also I didn't spoke until this job.
Mm-hmm.
When I started Dynapec, first 3 months, I can't say hello,
Correct.
just me.
Correct.
But now, last year, there is a visitor from the machine suppliers in Italy, in China, in Taiwan, in England. So I try to speak them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think I improve a bit, but there's a mountain I should climb.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You know, in English they have a kind of expression. They say, use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Use it or lose it. So if you do not use, you will lose. But if you try to use it, you will keep it. This is obvious. The more you are engaged, the more you are, how can I say, got exposed, you are going to be better in understanding as well as communicating. Okay? But of course, you have to improve your self-confidence as well. Self-confidence. That is very important, because speaking, let's say, is a kind of, it is related to our character and personality as well. If I am, for example, a kind of introverted person, if I do not speak a lot with other people in my own language, let's say, how can you expect me to speak a lot in English or in other languages? So this is related to my character a little bit, at least. Or if I am perfectionist, maybe if I am perfectionist and I don't want to be judged by people, it blocks me. Being perfectionist in speaking definitely is a killer. It will kill you because, you know, I mean, we have to be relaxed. We have to. I mean, as a teacher, I have to first teach this mentality to students that nobody is perfect. Everybody can make mistakes. And if you make mistakes, don't kill yourself. Instead, laugh. Say, yeah, I made a mistake. No problem, man. You have to be relaxed. If you are not relaxed, you know, there are some students, perfectionist students, generally ladies. Because, I mean, as a human being, we don't want to be judged. Because we want to always show our perfect self to others. We don't want to, how can I say, create a kind of negative image of ourselves in other people's mind. That is why we are so sensitive about our sentences, about what we are going to say, and we overthink. There are some students, like before talking, before making any kind of sentence, they think about the whole paragraph from A to Z, in order to create a perfect paragraph. When they are ready, then they start to speak. Okay, amazing. But if the paragraph finishes, what happens? He cannot stop. He cannot continue.
Yeah.
I said a perfect speaking means prepared speaking. If you prepared your speaking, yes, that is perfect. But spontaneous speaking means you can make mistakes, and that is totally okay. Totally okay. With this mentality, with this psychology, you can even be far better than yesterday. Don't push yourself, don't judge yourself, and just try. Focus on fluency rather than accuracy. This is my slogan. Focus on fluency, not accuracy. Because if you want to be accurate, which means that you want to be perfect, it will stop you from being fluent. You cannot. Imagine, let me give you a kind of live example. For instance, this is my telephone. Okay, with one hand I am using the telephone. With another hand, for example, I am drawing a picture. Okay, how can I do these two things perfectly? Is it possible? You tell. Is it possible to, for example, check my telephone and let's say, and paint, and I want both of them to be perfect? Is it possible? It is not possible. Yeah, normally. So the same mentality. We have fluency, we have accuracy.
These are opposite sides. Am I right?
Not opposite, different thing. Yeah, they are not opposite, they are different. Let me explain. Fluency means to speak to speak fluidly. Okay, fluid, F-L-U-I-D. Fluid means very fluent, actually, which means that you are not stopping a lot, you are not having a lot of gaps. Like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, this is fluency. But there is a misconception among students that they think fluency, a fluent person means you must speak faster. No, speed is not the case. Speed is not the case. If you have a speed, you must maintain it until the end of your speech. That is fluency. By default, my speed is normal. I am not too fast, I am not too slow. So if I want to be fluent, I must keep this speed forever. But if I speak very fast and then very slow, and simply I switch between the paces, speeds, it is not fluency. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Accuracy, on the other hand, is a kind of concept. I don't know what to call concept or whatever, which means that you want to be accurate. Accurate means correct, like 100% correct, flawlessly, I mean perfect. So as a student, as a language user, you must choose one of them. You must choose whether to use telephone or draw a picture. Choose one of them and follow. I recommend students to follow fluency, not accuracy. Being accurate is almost impossible. It blocks you. It blocks you from being fluent. Make mistakes and be okay with it. Be okay with it, okay? Accuracy will come later. If you are fluent, later, step by step, your accuracy, which means that your generally grammatical mistakes will be eliminated through time, okay? For example, I say, let's say I am a student and I make a deadly grammatical mistake, like for example, I is going to school every day. What?
Yeah.
I is going to school, and I don't know that I'm making a mistake, and I keep saying that because I want to be fluent. Then I talk to a native speaker. The native speaker says, for example, you are going to school every day. I am going to school, for example, right now. I am going to school. I am going to school. I hear that, but still I say I is going to school. Then again, I hear I am going to school. Everybody says I am going to school. I am going. Then I realize that, oh my God, I make a mistake. Why I say I is? Everybody says I am. So I start to learn, and then through time, I will eliminate that mistake. And automatically I will say, okay, I am going to school. Understand? But so accuracy will come later, can come later. Focus on fluency. Be fluent. Be slow, okay? Speak slowly. Of course, practice and learn. Every day learn, all the time learn, and just expose, just practice. I can say nothing else.
You're right. I hope I can reach.
Yeah, I mean, to be hopeful is the first stage. The first stage is to be hopeful.
Yeah.
And second stage means you have to take the action.
Yeah, you're right.
Take the action. The best, not the best, one of the fastest ways to learn vocabulary is reading short stories. Do you have the short stories that I shared? Did I share any short stories before?
Yeah. I have all of them.
Okay, download.
Thank you.
Yeah, download. There are two types. One is only PDF. One is like PDF and audio files. Go for audio files also. Open the PDF on your laptop and listen, maybe from your telephone or again from laptop, and follow it, listening and reading, and of course stop and write down the new vocabulary. Write down the new vocabulary and keep learning, and you will see that, oh my God, I have learned a lot of vocabulary from this small short story, from that short story. Step by step, you will improve that.
Yes. Being this factory is an also advantages for me or for us, all of us.
Why?
Because we affect different foreign peoples. Yeah, we have to keep in touch with them. So I can improve about this situation by speaking.
Definitely, and undoubtedly, if you use English at your workplace directly, that is much more beneficial, advantageous. Correct. And also it can be a motivation. I mean, one of the biggest things in life, not just in English, generally, is motivation. We need motivation. No motivation, no improvement. No motivation, no enjoyment. So, as a person, when you talk to, let's say, a native speaker, and you can tell what you want to say to that specific person, he or she can understand you, and he or she also replies you, and you understand, and also you reply. You feel that, oh God, oh my God, you know, I am better. I mean, I can understand, I can communicate. This is a huge motivation. You say, okay, I'm really cool, but I want more. I want to be better in that. So I need to improve myself. You go after that, you improve yourself. But of course, you can ask your teachers for recommendations. How can you improve better? How can you be better than this? So the teachers can definitely help you by sharing their own experiences. And as a language user, as a student, you can simply apply those ideas, those experiences, and step by step you can be better than yesterday. Definitely advantages. Definitely.
Also, there is something else.
Please.
Sometimes my manager said to me with laughing, "You think Turkish."
Okay.
I can't pass sometimes thinking Turkish to thinking English. Do you have any idea about this situation?
This is true. I mean, I don't know how you are trying to make a sentence while speaking, but yes, it is possible for non-native speakers to think in their own mother language. This is totally normal. But yes, your manager is right. You must try to eliminate, if not reduce, thinking in Turkish. How can you do that? Again, do you remember the agenda?
Yeah.
If you have terminologies, for example, the question is this: why students are trying to think in Turkish? Do you know why? Do you know?
We try to translate. I don't know.
Correct. This is one of the answers. I think because a student wants to express, tell exactly what he or she wants to tell it in Turkish. Directly and exactly, word by word.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
it is not always possible. It is not always possible. I say for objects, it is possible generally, but for expressions, for sentences, specifically for situational conversations, again, sometimes possible, but most of the time it is not possible. For example, for objects, so in English this is telephone, in Turkish telephone. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, in English this is pen, in Turkish
Kalem.
okay. Because these are only words like objects, you can easily translate, because there is an equivalent of that specific object in English or in Turkish, no problem. But there are sometimes some expressions, idioms in Turkish, very beautiful. You want to use them because you know those expressions, but unfortunately there isn't any equivalent of that specific idiom in English. What should you do? Two options. Option number one, not say it. Number two, find a way to say it. How? Again, two other options. Option number one, do a research on Google and say how to say this expression in English. Find it. Option number two, think about the meaning of expression or idiom, Turkish idiom, let's say, and try to find a way to express it, not translate, to express it in a different way. Okay? You have two options for that. Generally, I would say, I try to find a way to explain the situation so that the person can understand. In that scenario, if you talk to native speakers and if you can explain the situation, the terminology very well to the native speaker, if the same idiom or expression exists in English, they remember, then they say, oh, I understood. For example, we say blah blah blah. You mean this? You say, oh, that is correct. You learn that expression. If there isn't any expression as such, they say, okay, I understand, but we don't say anything for that. A couple of years ago, I talked to a British person. He was from London and he was an English teacher. And somebody asked me here in Istanbul, you know, because of course we also have that you know, culture. Imagine if a person cuts, I mean, has a kind of haircut, what do you say to that person in Turkish when you see that person?
Atleros.
Fantastic, yeah. He said that, teacher, how can I say this? I couldn't find an answer. But I didn't want to say I don't know. I said, I really don't remember what they say. I will definitely find it for you. Then they say, okay. Then I talked to that native speaker, and he's native British, from London, and he's an English teacher. Of course, there isn't such idiom in English, and I tried to explain the situation, and I explained, and he laughed. He laughed a lot. He said, "Wow, I completely understood you," he said, "but there isn't such thing. There isn't. We don't say anything." He said, "We don't say anything. We don't say. There isn't."
It's culture.
Yeah, it is culture. So the student understands this. I mean, in Turkey, he or she knows this expression, Turkish expression. He wants to tell this expression in English. For this situation, you cannot, because there isn't such expression in English. There isn't, man. If there isn't something, how can you tell it? Right? So these are problems. But as I said, personally, I tried to explain the situation to the native speaker, and he could understand me completely. And he said, no, we don't have anything. We don't have anything. And he made a joke, and he said that, but you must definitely say to your wife that you look very beautiful, because if you don't say that, you are dead. Yeah. He said something like this, I remember. So to sum up, if you wanna how can I say, try to say something which you use it in Turkish, definitely do a research and find equivalent for that. Or if you cannot, try to find a way to explain it easily. You must be simple, not complicated. Be simple. I mean, you have to be simple and just have the conversation like that. So don't worry about it too much. Not be worried.
Thank you. Either.
Yeah. I can say the Turing can really help you.
I use Turing.
Yeah. Imagine you are wondering about something. In Turkish, you type it. It gives you the English equivalent of those expressions. Which means that the people who designed Turing, let's say, actually had a kind of research before, and they made it ready. They made it ready for language users. But again, I cannot say Turing is 100% correct. I cannot say that, but it is far better than nothing. It is far better than nothing. You can easily reach out to them like that.
Can I ask a grammar question?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm still confusing about past tense and past perfect tense. When I try to use, sorry about that. When I use the past tense, I should, I realize that I should use past perfect. When I use past perfect or present perfect tense, I realize that I should use past perfect. And I really confused
You're really
about that.
confused. Okay. Very simple. I don't teach grammar generally, but I try to say that, how can I say, indirectly. I mean, past, let's say simple past, is a kind of situation, imagine like that, situation that the story is done, finished. Okay? Action finished. For example, you say, yesterday I ate my lunch. Okay, finish, because past is past. Yesterday finished. So the action also ended, finished. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Past perfect. Past perfect is a situation before simple past tense. Again,
Yeah.
let me put it differently. There are two tenses into each other. One is past tense, and one earlier than that, before that, is past perfect. So if you are using past perfect, you must use simple past tense also, because if you don't use simple past tense, it looks absurd, because you must explain the situation, which let me make it much more simpler or basic. I mean, one action in the past is earlier than another action in the past also.
Okay, I see.
Understand? So
Yeah.
first one is simple past. The action before that, earlier than that, is past perfect.
They should use together.
Together, yes. They
Yeah,
should
okay.
be used together. For
Present perfect.
yeah. Okay, well, hold on a second. For example, you say, when I got home, got, simple past.
Yeah.
Let's say when I returned home, simple past. When I returned home, my father had gone.
Okay, I saw.
Which means that my father's action was earlier than my action. Okay.
Yeah.
You talked about what's present perfect?
Present perfect. Yeah. Also, I said before, I use some sentences in simple past, and I try to check it. I saw that the translator translate it with present perfect,
tense.
or opposite side. I tried to write present perfect, and I saw it's simple past tense.
All right. Nice question. This is the most challenging grammatical topic for all of English teachers, specifically in Turkey. Why in Turkey? Because in Turkish language, there isn't a clear tense like present perfect tense. You have something, but it is not 100% the same. That is why students are confused. This is one factor, but I'll try. You know, one action happened in the past, earlier, yesterday, 2 months ago, I mean past, in the past. The time is not important, or we don't know, but we know that, the time is not important, or we don't know when it happened, when it started actually, but we know that it started in the past. Correct?
Okay.
But it still continues. The action started in the past. it still continues.
Huh.
Itself or its effect. Let me explain. For example, somebody said, yeah, the birthday party has started. The birthday party has started and you're late.
Yeah.
It means, for example, birthday party started, let's say, 5 hours ago. We don't know the time, or it is not important to know, but we know that it is in the past. Birthday party started, let's say, 5 hours ago, but it is still continuing, and you are late to the party.
What if we use 5 hours ago?
Okay.
Which one we should use?
Good question. If you say, let's say, for example, the party started 5 hours ago, it means that the action actually finished.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the mentality is like that. If you use simple past tense, the action must be ended, must be finished. You cannot continue it. It cannot be continued. The grammatical mentality of that. Understand? I hope you understood that.
Yeah, I see.
The action itself is continuing, or the effect of the action is still continuing. Okay? Or, for example, I say, I have had a terrible headache. Again, I have had a terrible headache since yesterday. So, yesterday my headache started. Today it is still continuing. The action didn't end, didn't finish. It is continuing, okay? So I must use present perfect tense. I have had, because have, had, the third format.
Yeah.
Yes, I have had a terrible headache since yesterday.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure.
It's more understandable.
I do not teach grammar generally because the American culture's philosophy is like generally one Turkish teacher, one foreigner teacher, and the Turkish teacher generally takes care of the grammar, and he or she generally uses Turkish to teach the grammar, and I am basically dealing with the speaking and vocabulary and some other parts. That's why I do not, how can I say, teach the grammar with worksheets or with some presentations. I just say that indirectly. Yeah.
I have one more question.
We have 6 minutes to go. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's small question.
All right, no problem.
I am also confused the words positive and negative meaning. For example, meaning, I used it before unmeaning, but it's not correct. The correct one is meaningless. How can I understand? Can I explain myself?
I couldn't understand what you said actually.
For example, there is a meaning. Words with meaning.
For example.
Meaning. For example, yeah. Meaning and the opposite side meaningless.
Okay.
Yeah, but I use unmeaning. Yeah.
Dictionaries.
Also.
Yeah. You definitely need to check the dictionary. There is no other choice. You know, the same question I had when I was a student with phrasal verbs. You know that phrasal verbs in English, specifically in American English, are very crazy. Why they are crazy? Because they have a lot of different meanings. And in different situations, they have different meaning, right? So you have to be sure of how you are using those phrasal verbs correctly. Are you correct, or are you using them correctly or not? So I asked this question from a native speaker of America. And he said that, I said, how do you know which phrasal verb to use automatically. He laughed, ha ha ha. I don't know. I don't care, he said. It just happens. It just happens naturally.
Yeah.
Again, I try to tell that through repetition, through exposure, repetition, you start to use those vocabulary automatically and naturally. The same scenario. If you are not sure, use a dictionary. My favorite dictionary, which I suggest, is Cambridge Dictionary. It is free. I use it for my students. Go Google it. On Google, type online Cambridge Dictionary. Enter. You can see. Amazing dictionary. Why amazing? Because the language is very easy to understand. It has two pronunciation, British pronunciation and American pronunciation. You can listen. It has definition. Sometimes it gives you synonyms, antonyms. And if you type a word and you couldn't find, generally it means that that word is incorrect.
Yeah.
That is not a real or correct word. So you have to find another one. So definitely check dictionary. If you keep hearing, reading, listening those words, you will automatically remember that. For example, meaningful, meaningless. Two words. There is no, for example, unmeaning. We don't have any unmeaning words. It looks English, but it doesn't exist. Understand what I say? So dictionary can definitely help you with that.
Thank you for the lesson.
My pleasure. I hope it was useful, and I tried to just share my experience, because before being a teacher, I was a student. I am still a student. I am learning, every day, all the time we are learning something new, because the language is not stopping. The language is also improving. It is evolving. It is getting bigger and bigger. Imagine 2 years ago, COVID-19 started, and we didn't used to use different terminologies like social distancing. What is social distancing? Or what is epidemic? I didn't know that, for example. But they created them. We had to learn. Even native speakers need to learn, like epidemic, social distancing, for example, sanitizers, for example, this, that. You start to learn. So always learn and be motivated. Motivate yourself always. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves, and
You
hope
too.
to see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
See you.
See you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.